I love when you guys launched the feed. So for those listeners that haven't used Zapper, the feed is like, think of like your Facebook feed where you just like scroll and you can see, or Twitter. They've done that, but for blockchain. And so you can start to see the interactions that people are doing on chain, which now that we do a lot more on chain than just financial things, it kind of makes sense. Because like when I think of what happens on social media today, you buy something, you generally then take a picture of it, then you go share it on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever. What this is doing is it's just literally taking that transaction, it's showing the image of whatever that NFT is, and automatically goes in the feed. And then I don't know if you guys are going to put like commenting and all that kind of stuff, where it actually becomes a social thing around that transaction. But I think that is definitely where the space is going, and I'm assuming that's what you guys are thinking and seeing it as well.
Yeah, 100%. You know, there's two sides of like reading the blockchain. There's like the photograph aspect, like what does it look like right now? What does my account look like? And
Mm-hmm.
then there's all like the kind of traffic part of it, where it's not necessarily of like what this building looks like. If I take a city analogy and the blockchain is a city, it's not necessarily what this building looks like. It's what's the traffic around this building or this restaurant looks like. How many people are going in, going out, who's going in, who's going out, that I think is really interesting. Taking your example of like Web 2, one thing that excites me about blockchains and transparency is we've kind of lost the concept of tangibleness and permanence of the traditional web. When, you know, I'm scrolling through Twitter, I get kind of uneasy when I scroll. I refresh my Twitter and I get a whole bunch of other posts. It's like, what am I actually getting? And right now we have this hyper generative, super personalized, you know, feeds that we're presented with. And so it's a bit like everyone has their own personalized city. And so you lose that sense of reality. Like, what is actually happening? What is the actual truth? Everyone has a different truth. Whereas the blockchain, you have this one foundation that everyone can look at. To any observer, it looks the same. Just like how when you walk down in downtown Toronto, you don't see something fundamentally different than I do. But when we translate those experiences to Facebook and Twitter, I have a whole different experience of crypto Twitter than probably you do. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you see different things. That is kind of scary because we haven't ported that sense of permanence and tangible kind of reality into the digital world. And I think like blockchains bring that back. And so it brings more of like that city like feel where you have this feeling of being in a town center and walking, you know, in downtown Toronto and meeting people and see what they do versus being in your own echo chamber and not actually being able to tether that or anchor it to something else.